Right, the media has never reported on who Becky was. Becky was my middle child, born 13th of December 88, weighing at a tiny £5 4 ounces. She was so angelic looking. She grew to be a fun-loving girl, always woke up with a smile, happily singing and dancing around the house. She lived for every new day. She was very loving and caring, inquisitive, mischievous, and sometimes quite a feisty girl. She loved nothing more than watching episodes of Friends or films with a duvet, chocolate, and lots of cuddles. Her laugh was infectious, and her whole body would shake in fits of laughter, which was quite often. Her smile was broad and displayed dimples in her cheek. Her sparkling brown eyes with thick, long lashes would beam at you, and sometimes it was hard to say no to her. She would light up any room that she entered. I could see so much of myself in her when I was younger. Her favourite time, obviously, was her birthday and Christmas, and she would insist that Christmas decorations went up, as this indicated, the 12 days before Christmas, and she absolutely hated it when they had to come down. She was a popular girl at school and surrounded by many friends who told me that they always enjoyed her company, as she always was so much fun to be around. She never invited one friend around for tea, always many, and I would often say to her, for God's sake, Becky, I can't afford to feed the whole street, but sometimes I managed. She was always eager to go to school, loved learning new things, and she was an animal lover and always claimed that she wanted to work in South Africa with orphan chimpanzees. She was so excited and wasn't all phased about going to the secondary school, and I knew she wouldn't be bullied as she had older cousins there and she knew most of the children from the estate. But it was a matter of weeks that Becky became more challenging than usual. At first, I thought she was trying to press my buttons. But in such short time, she started shrieking and coming home late, and numerous times she went missing. I could not believe how my child could change so much in such a short space of time. She was befriended by a 17-year-old girl who was obviously involved in Pakistani men. I spent many painstaking hours searching for her and trying to find out who she was hanging around with. Many sleepless nights I worry about her. I had a constant pain in my gut. Things just did not add up. I talked to her, I screamed, I cried many tears, and I couldn't get her to open up. I felt I was losing my parental control, and I recognised that I needed help. So I phoned family services, but to be told by the social services that my daughter was not a priority, as she was fed and not beaten, and this was just another slap in my face. It took them till February 2002 to actually visit us. One incident on February the 21st, she went missing overnight. Returning next day, this time I noticed that she seemed more subdued. Her friend that went missing with her was missing for 4 nights. Sorry, I've lost my... The social services actually visited us 3 times that week and set some rules for Becky to follow. And she actually went to school all week, and she never even asked to go out until March the 4th. Just give me a moment.
You're doing great.
On the evening of 4th of March, Becky pleaded to go out just for 1 hour to an under-16 drop-in centre that was literally just 5 minutes away, and she desperately wanted to see her old school friends. As she kept her side of the bargain all week, I allowed her on the promise that it was only for an hour, and I would be meeting her there at that time to walk her back home. 15 minutes after she left, I had a knock on the door. from that 17-year-old friend crying, saying Becky had been in a car accident. My first thoughts that she had been run over and maybe with just a broken leg, but that was not the case. A 20-year-old Pakistani man and his passenger had pulled outside the youth club and he switched his engine off. Becky was first leaning against the bonnet, and it looked at first she was in conversation with him. She then sat on the bonnet and there was some sort of altercation and she refused to get off his bonnet. He took it upon himself to start his engine and to drive over 200 metres with her clinging on the side of the window. And this was in front of all her friends, and at some point she fell off and sustained a head trauma. No other injuries or marks. I arrived at the scene with her 12-year-old brother to watch helplessly as the emergency services tried to resuscitate her lifeless body. 3.5 grueling hours later, I was told that she was brain dead and her life support had to be switched off. And the worst thing I had to go through was tell her 12-year-old brother that she's going to have to say goodbye. I read in the statements that the passenger kept telling the driver to slow down and pack it in. He did this in cold blood anger. It was no prank, only his prank was still fair, because how dare a 13-year-old white girl not do as she was told and show him up in front of his friends. He got 3 years and served 15 months. The police never asked for a phone and they were fully aware of what happened 10 days prior and all the other times. And yet, the chief superintendent visited me within days of Becky's death and stated he did not want her death to be classed as a racial attack. I told him he needs to open his eyes as there's something going on in this town and it involved Pakistani men and young girls Muslims and drugs. I never got to know Becky's full extent of her abuse. That chance was taken away. But the police confirmed in 2015, after a 3-year investigation following Operation Chalice in Telford, that Becky was groomed at 11. And they have evidence on at least 2 occasions that she was trafficked to Birmingham and Manchester. I do not know who her perpetrators are, and most likely never will. But they did say the reinvestigation did highlight new perpetrators. Had Becky not been killed, I know in time she would have opened up, because I was never going to give up on her. I lived with the guilt, and probably always will, that I never protected her from these monsters. But she was trying to protect her family. I know if she had lived, that she'd be standing here before you today as a survivor. But instead, she is a warrior, like all the survivors, only she's a warrior with wings. Thank you.